When solving an equation, our goal is to get the variable on one side and the numbers on the other side. And here in these one-step equations we're going to use our knowledge of inverse operations in order to solve for the variable. So the first one we have 0.5 m equals 0.75. So remember, if you have a number written next to a variable, that is understood to be multiplication. And so what this is saying is that 0.5 times m equals 0.75. And so how are we going to undo this multiplication? What is the inverse operation of multiplication? That would be division, right? And so we're going to divide both sides. To show division, I use a horizontal fraction bar. We divide both sides by this number that is being multiplied by the variable. Or we could say the coefficient, which is 0.5. So I divide the left side by 0.5 and the right side by 0.5 because you always do the same thing to both sides of the equation. Now when I divide 0.5 on both sides, these 0.5s will simplify because they will become 1, right? 0.5 divided by 0.5, that's 1 times m, which is just m. And so m is equal to these things being divided over here. And so let's set this up. I do top divided by bottom. Okay, I see that I have a decimal outside the division bracket, and so I must move it one place to the right. I move both decimal points one place to the right. So now let's rewrite the problem. I have 7.5 divided by 5. My decimal goes straight up into the answer. 5 goes into 7 one time. You subtract, bring down the 5, and 5 goes into 25 5 times. Right? So you get your answer as 1.5. So m is 1.5. The next one, we have r divided by 4 equals 250. And notice when I read that, I read it as divided by, because when you have the fraction bar, this means division. And so if I want r by itself, how am I going to undo the division? What is the inverse operation of division? Well, that would be multiplication. And so I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation by this number that is in the denominator, which is 4. Right? So I multiply, I'm showing a dot here for multiplication, multiply both sides by 4. Now when I do that, over here what happens is these 4's simplify because this is like 4 over 1. So you have a 4 in the top and the 4 in the bottom, and so they cross simplify. And so you're left with r over 1, which is just r, which is what you're looking for. So you have your variable on one side, you have your numbers on the other. What's 250 times 4? That would be 1,000, right? So r is 1,000. If you were to take 1,000 and plug it in for r, 1,000 divided by 4 would be 250. Next we have negative 21 equals y plus 14. As you can see, the variable y is on the right side of the equal sign. And so I have to move this positive 14 to the other side. So how am I going to move positive 14 to the other side? Or I could say I'm adding 14. What is the inverse operation of addition? That would be subtraction, right? Subtraction undoes addition. So I must subtract 14 from the right side, but if I do that on the right side, I must do it on the left side of the equal sign also. So I'm going to subtract 14. I draw my equal sign, my horizontal equal sign across the entire problem. These 14s will cancel, right? Positive 14 minus 14, they cancel, they're gone. That's the whole reason I subtracted 14, is so that they would cancel on that side and be moved to the left side of the equal sign. So now I have these two negative numbers, right? Isn't this negative 21 and this is negative 14? So I know same sign to add keep sign. That would be negative 35. I bring my equal sign straight down, and all that's left on the right side is this variable y. And so I have my variable on one side, my numbers on the other. This is the solution, negative 35. Negative 35 plus 14 would be negative 21. Last example, you have y minus 12 equals negative 8. As you can see, this time y, the variable, is on the left side of the equal sign. And so if the variable is on the left side, I need this number, negative 12, to be on the other side. So how am I going to move it? Right now I'm taking y and subtracting 12. So I have to use the inverse operation of subtraction. What undoes subtraction? Well, that would be addition, right? So I add 12 to the left side and to the right side. Draw your equal sign across the problem. These 12s cancel, right? Because negative 12 plus 12, they are additive inverses. They are equal to 0. They cancel each other out. And so all you're left with is y on the left side. Your equal sign comes straight down. Over here you have negative 8 plus 12. They have different signs. Subtract, keep the big guy. That would be 4, right? So y is equal to 4. If you plug 4 in here, 4 minus 12, that's negative 8.